Hey Europe Todi. The early 1990s were a fascinating era for the automotive world, and Mazda, a brand that had built a reputation for injecting excitement, style, and innovation into every segment it touched, stood tall among its competitors in 1992. While the global car market was increasingly shifting toward efficiency and practicality, Mazda managed to strike a balance between sensible engineering and the kind of driving passion that enthusiasts craved. In that year, the brand's lineup was versatile and spoke to a wide audience, from entry-level buyers looking for an affordable commuter to thrill-seekers searching for the perfect sports car. Four key models defined Mazda's presence in 1992: the 323, the Protegé, the MX-6, and the RX-7. Each one carried a distinct personality, but together, they created a family of cars that reflected Mazda's "Zoom Zoom" spirit long before the slogan officially existed. The Mazda 323 was the smallest of the group and one of the most important for the brand's global success. In the US market, the 323 was positioned as an entry-level compact car, practical and reliable, but with just enough charm to separate it from the sea of bland economy cars of the early 90s. The 323 had a clean, simple design, no wild angles or unnecessary curves, but a boxy yet purposeful look that resonated with drivers who wanted value. Its front-wheel drive layout, lightweight structure, and efficient engines made it both fuel-efficient and surprisingly fun to drive. The base models offered modest four-cylinder power, but the 323 always had a nimble personality that made city commuting enjoyable. It wasn't about raw horsepower, but about balance and agility, and drivers often praised how Mazda made even an economy car feel connected to the road. For many young buyers or families on a budget, the 323 was their introduction to Mazda ownership, and it set the stage for loyalty to the brand. Stepping up from the 323 was the Mazda Protegé, a car that shared DNA with its smaller sibling but took things to the next level. The Protegé replaced the aging 323 sedan in the US market and positioned itself as a compact sedan with grown-up refinement. While still affordable, the Protegé emphasized more interior space, better comfort, and a slightly more upscale feel, all while retaining Mazda's fun-to-drive nature. In 1992, the Protegé was already earning praise for being one of the sharpest-handling small sedans in its class. Its steering was direct, its suspension was well-tuned, and it carried a sporty vibe that set it apart from competitors like the Toyota Corolla or Honda Civic, which leaned more toward pure practicality. For buyers who wanted a small car but didn't want to feel bored every time they got behind the wheel, the Protegé was the answer. With a range of efficient four-cylinder engines and trim levels that included sportier versions, it captured the essence of what Mazda was doing so well in this period, making everyday cars engaging to drive. Then came the MX-6, a sleek coupe that showed Mazda's flair for designing cars that could turn heads. The MX-6, part of the midsize coupe segment, had a completely different mission compared to the 323 or Protegé. It was sporty, stylish, and aimed squarely at drivers who wanted more than just transportation. In 1992, the MX-6 stood out with its low-slung body, aerodynamic lines, and a cockpit-style interior that made the driver feel special. Under the hood, it offered more powerful engine options, including a smooth V6 that gave the car real performance credibility. The MX-6 wasn't just about straight-line speed, though. It had excellent chassis balance and a suspension setup that delivered both comfort and agility. It shared some mechanical elements with the Ford Probe, thanks to Mazda's partnership with Ford, but many enthusiasts considered the MX-6 the more refined and better-handling car of the two. It appealed to young professionals and driving enthusiasts who wanted a sporty coupe without the high costs of European brands. Mazda marketed it as an attainable sports coupe, and for many, it was their first taste of a car that looked fast and felt fast, all while being reasonably practical with its 2+2 seating and usable trunk. At the top of Mazda's 1992 lineup sat the legendary RX-7, a car that needs no introduction among enthusiasts. The RX-7 had always been Mazda's halo sports car, but by the early 90s, it had evolved into a true world-class performance machine. In 1992, the third-generation RX-7, known internally as the FD, was introduced to the world, and it instantly stunned car fans with its breathtaking design and advanced technology. The RX-7 of this era was low, wide, and flowing with curves. It looked like nothing else on the road. Beneath the hood was Mazda's signature rotary engine, now twin-turbocharged to deliver exhilarating performance. With 255 horsepower, lightweight construction, and near-perfect weight distribution, the RX-7 was a precision instrument designed for driving purists. Car magazines of the time raved about its razor-sharp handling, its thrilling turbo surge, and its ability to dance through corners with the grace of a supercar. While it was not the most practical car, its rear seats were symbolic at best, and rotary engines demanded careful maintenance. The RX-7 became an icon of the 1990s and solidified Mazda's reputation as a company that dared to be different. What made Mazda's 1992 lineup so compelling was not just the individual strengths of each model, but how they collectively showcased the brand's philosophy. The 323 and Protegé represented Mazda's ability to make small, efficient cars that were still engaging to drive. The MX-6 embodied the brand's understanding of style, performance, and affordability in the coupe market. And the RX-7 stood as proof that Mazda was capable of competing on a global stage with sports cars that could rival Porsche and Nissan's finest. Few automakers at the time managed to create such a wide-ranging lineup that still shared a common thread: the joy of driving. In the broader context of the early 90s, Mazda's lineup stood out because many competitors were leaning heavily toward safety, efficiency, and conservative styling, sometimes at the expense of driving excitement. While those qualities were important, Mazda managed to blend them with character. A 1992 Mazda felt alive in a way that a Toyota Corolla or Ford Tempo often didn't. Even in the most modest 323, there was a sense of connection through the steering wheel, a lightness in the chassis, and a playful attitude that encouraged drivers to take the long way home. This driving DNA carried all the way up to the RX-7, which was considered one of the best handling sports cars in the world. Another key factor in Mazda's 1992 success was its ability to appeal to different demographics without losing its identity. College students, first-time buyers, and budget-conscious families flocked to the 323 and Protegé. Young professionals who wanted to make a statement chose the MX-6, enjoying its combination of style and performance without breaking the bank. Hardcore enthusiasts and sports car lovers drooled over the RX-7, recognizing it as a pure driver's car that embodied everything they loved about Japanese engineering at the time. This spread across segments gave Mazda not only sales but also a reputation for being a brand that cared about drivers. The 1992 Mazda models also hinted at the brand's future. The Protegé laid the groundwork for later small sedans that would continue to be praised for their driving dynamics. The MX-6, while eventually discontinued, demonstrated Mazda's ability to produce stylish coupes and directly influenced the sporty design language that the company would refine in later decades. The RX-7, though it would only last until the mid-1990s in its FD form, became a legend and remains a symbol of Mazda's willingness to innovate with the rotary engine, even as others abandoned it. Today, enthusiasts look back at these cars with admiration and nostalgia, recognizing them as part of a golden era when Japanese automakers pushed boundaries and produced cars that became icons. Ultimately, the story of Mazda in 1992 is one of balance and passion. The company didn't try to be the biggest automaker, nor did it flood the market with forgettable models. Instead, it focused on delivering cars that spoke to their owners. A 323 owner could feel proud of owning a car that was affordable yet fun. A Protegé driver knew they had one of the sharpest small sedans of the time. An MX-6 buyer could enjoy sleek styling and lively performance at a reasonable price. And the RX-7 driver, lucky enough to afford the brand's halo car, experienced one of the most thrilling machines of the decade. Together, these cars defined Mazda's presence in America and cemented its reputation as a company that built cars for people who loved driving. Looking back more than 3 decades later, it's clear that 1992 was a milestone year for Mazda. Each of these models contributed something unique to the automotive landscape, and collectively they showcased the diversity and strength of the brand. Whether it was the simplicity of the 323, the balance of the Protegé, the style of the MX-6, or the sheer brilliance of the RX-7, Mazda's lineup that year represented some of the best qualities of Japanese engineering during the era. These cars may have been aimed at different audiences, but they all shared the same DNA, a commitment to making cars that were more than appliances, cars that could put a smile on the driver's face. That philosophy is what made Mazda stand out in 1992, and it remains the reason why enthusiasts still look back at this lineup with such admiration today.